Om Mani Padme Hum. Aho, aho, aloha. For this recording, we're going to continue to process the information left for us to understand, understand, and overstand why what we know as the Columbine event happened. From a state of understanding and overstanding what balance is. In the Western model, we all know it's homeostasis. In the Eastern model, balance is when the yin and yang are one, the heart is at ease. And there's no disease prevailing throughout the body, be it mentally in the mind, physically, or emotionally. So in our new way of seeing the world, where we have all the information at our fingertips and there's no excuse anymore for ignorance to exist as we piece together what really works, what are the solutions. We're going to find less and less external means for healing as the answer, and more activation of the internal healer within that all of us have. And so that's just it. What caused Columbine? Now, I don't believe or think or know that any one thing, any one decision, any one action is the single cause. I believe and see it was a combination of many choices and decisions and habits and patterns that inevitably created what we know as Columbine to have happened. Now, I most certainly saw in both of these individuals a way where they could be balanced. For Dylan in elementary school, in the gifted class where we shared a lot of time together, in particular with our amazing teacher, Dylan's heart was open. Dylan's yin and yang was in balance. And for Eric, I believe I did see a little bit of a period of time. We did not know each other until 10th grade. But around that 10th grade time and first part of 11th grade, I do remember seeing an individual closer to balance than what we saw the last year and a half or so of his life. So may this message, this recording, may it activate your own inner truth to seek the healer within, and to know that there are many tools to us to activate that healer within. Meditation, seeing a skilled healer of a variety of modalities, going to yoga classes, learning a musical instrument, learning martial arts, getting our bare feet in nature, the forest, the ocean, the mountains. So what we did see was the stuffing of the yin and the yang by both Dylan and Eric that created an inflated ego body, which they each, in their minds, fabricated as self-awareness, but it was an awareness of their ego body. It wasn't an awareness of their true, authentic cores. Their authentic core selves would not have chosen to do what they did. What we saw was a creation of their hurt and their stuffing of emotions and stuffing of thoughts and stuffing of experiences, compiled with all the violent imagery and all of their experiences on a day-to-day life. That all was what was the input to the output of what happened. On top of the mass alcohol consumption, which we all know alcohol creates disease, it leads to cancer, it's on the warning labels. You get 0.5% of it in your bloodstream, you're probably going to die. People don't want to be around a bunch of drunk people trying to break up an argument or a fight because it can get nasty. So that was an element. And then Eric being unnecessarily drugged. The SSRI antidepressants, this is old news. It's on the warning labels. It causes homicidal thoughts, suicidal thoughts. And Eric most certainly experienced the mania that was found in 4% of adolescents that were on this drug in its trial. That means about 1 in 25 people in Eric's age group experienced advanced imbalanced states of mania when taking this substance. And that will certainly happen to Eric. I can see a split in his self, further stuffing of the yin and yang into the ego body, and less of balance that did happen in that last year or so. And that drug was just one of the reasons, but cannot be ignored as one of the causes. And that's just it. The reality that I am facing now is how close this tragedy was to not ever happening. We had 3 weeks left to go. 3 weeks left to go as seniors. How close was this to not happening? So the input to the output. What was coming into our bodies, what was coming into our minds, what was coming into our systems to process. And then what was coming out. For every reaction, there's an equal and opposite reaction. For every cause to an effect, there is a way to describe it. We don't have to remain in a fog of ignorance about things. We can really begin to understand, and overstand the causes to the effects. Even difficult ones like understanding why Columbine happened. And that's still bizarre even to this day that I can refer to the name of my high school as a word that people know, and people have questions. People collectively have a moment when that word is said. For those of us alive at that time, that wow, something's really off. Something's really out of balance. This word describing a symptom of our patterns of disease that we're waking up from and finding answers and solutions to come back to patterns of ease. So let's continue to write this story of what that word means. The input that created the output. The cultural trance of ego glorification. constant images of violence, constant images of alcohol and sex and wanting to identify as something outside of our true selves. The constant pressures at school, be it to conform to a system created by a Prussian model to shove us into a machine as cogs, or to put up with the imbalanced output others are putting around us. The constant external forces saying this is the way it is, and bring this external force into the body, and then you'll be happier or in less pain. But ultimately, what both Eric and Dylan were seeking was to be in less pain, and that can only come from within. And a talented healer, a good friend, a teacher, martial arts classes, yoga classes, meditation, getting our feet in nature, in the mountains, barefoot, allowing the free radicals to be cleansed, allowing the inner stillness to awaken. These simple tools were all but absent in a lot of us growing up in the late 20th century, suburban Denver. It was just strip malls, video games, TV, alcohol. So the yin and yang split. How could we have solved this and recentered the yin and yang before it was too late? I do know in my heart that access to more healing arts may have been all that these two individuals needed. Less emphasis on the brain, more emphasis on the heart and the physical body and being in nature and connecting with people. Even if those connections are not being made at school or at home. Other ways to connect. I really have this image in my mind. Martial arts would have done it for Eric. Because in martial arts, we learn to do all these fancy, great, fun things that also help our bodies feel better. But we also learn to train the mind so that we never actually get in a situation where we have to use it. We can use our words and our mind power to dissolve ever having to use physical force. And for Dylan, it may have been yoga, meditation, a trip to Asia. There was a way out. And it's extra peculiar because both Dylan and Eric came from loving families who cared about them. Their families were not broken apart. They weren't in poverty. So we can't blame that label too hard. We can't say, oh, it was the parents' fault, because these are parents that really cared. Ultimately, each of these groups of parents did not have all the tools back then either. How many people had gone to an acupuncturist? How many people were getting massages? I wasn't getting massages, and that's all one of the key things I could have been doing to help my own ailments recover. It may have just been a series of massages from a professional for Dylan or Eric. Acupuncture. therapy with a skilled healer, meditations, training the mind, and importantly, training how to not stuff the yin and yang and split our true selves more, but how to unite the yin and yang back into our core. Ultimately, this is the message coming through in this recording. There is a way for all of us to balance ourselves from within and not have to think it's going to come from outside of us. And that's all any good practitioner with skills reflects back to the patient. Even MDs who have awakened to the drugging paradigm, they know this. Ultimately, the true healing comes from within. And it doesn't mean we can't have tools and helpers and groups of people. It doesn't mean that at all. It just means that the true healing comes from the activation to bring back all the pieces of us that were scattered and tucked away somewhere. And find a way to feel safe in our hearts again. Find a way to understand who we are at our cores. Find a way to the empathy that we all inherently know, that all-knowingness of human connection, where we care about each other. Everybody, it doesn't matter who we are, we all care about each other. We want the best for each other. We're not trying to one-up each other. We're not laughing at someone else when they get hurt. We actually genuinely want everyone to be balanced. The healing arts are what we must be bridging into the new paradigm of wellness. And it's already happening. We are all healers. We are all designed to heal ourselves from any imbalance. We are conscious of what creates balance. We are conscious of what creates balance. We are conscious of what creates balance.